are they feeding these kids in Iowa? First, we have Iowa State emerge as this year's giant slayer, and now Iowa has a huge win over Ohio State under their belt.
Yeah, well, maybe if you ate breakfast every morning, you'd have some of the same athletic success that these kids have been having.
I'm pretty athletic, but I got my priorities straight and decided to go to a top 10 university instead. But kids, eat your Wheaties because it makes all the difference.
This Iowa team, they've been really impressive this year. They have a giant offensive line. They've controlled the line of scrimmage. These two teams are really similar in a lot of areas.
Iowa may not enter this game undefeated like Wisconsin does, but when you compare these two schedules side by side, Iowa certainly has the advantage here. Yes, they have 3 losses, but all within a possession and all to teams that are currently ranked. Iowa State, Penn State, and Michigan State. In 8 seconds. We're not talking about a bull riding contest here, but that's how long Iowa needed last week to score in the opening quarter. And how they did so was defensively. They did really well last week at reading the play options JT Barrett was pursuing, whether it was a pick six or simply deflecting a pass into the end zone. The Iowa Hawkeyes were all over him. One thing we've also seen a lot this season is on 3rd and short, every defender is matching up on the line of scrimmage, expecting the run. That's just great defensive play calling because 9 out of 10 times, that's exactly what happens. Offensively, they've been really good at making something out of nothing. Here, a pass behind the line of scrimmage gets converted to almost a touchdown, and their running backs plow through like 5 or 6 defenders at a time sometimes.
Yeah, once again, it comes down to just, I have no idea what they're eating, whatever they're putting in the water, it's definitely working in the state of Iowa and Wisconsin as well. All you really need to say about Wisconsin is they're undefeated. At this point in the season, no matter who you are, even if you're a mid-major school, being undefeated is pretty dang impressive. Their strength of schedule definitely isn't the best, and, they don't have any marquee wins. This will be their first big opponent, really, their only top 25 matchup of the season to date. It really comes down to the battle of the big men. It does in every game for both of these teams. Wisconsin specifically, their starting 5 offensive linemen weigh a combined 1,600 pounds. That's gigantic. They average almost 320 pounds on the offensive line, and with that, they're able to possess the ball for over 35 minutes a game, something that has helped their defense a lot, which has been amazing all season, and it's helped their offense because they know that they're going to get 3 yards every rush, whether they need to or really try at all. It's been really boring to watch them, honestly, but it works, and you can't argue with the success that they've been having. Rush defense, they've yet to allow a team as a whole to eclipse the 150-yard mark. They've only given up two performances that were even close to 150 yards. They have the 4th-ranked rush defense on the season. They've been really impressive. Even their pass defense has held up a lot more than it has in years past.
One thing on the offense, though, is they are one-dimensional. They put on quite a defensive performance last week, and you can expect they can bring back similar play calling, but loading that box and bringing up extra players to really zone in on the running backs that Wisconsin has is going to be what Iowa does and does well. They only run. They can't pass. And that's going to be an issue for them this week. But you also have a weak schedule. They've beaten Northwestern, who has shaken up the Big Ten this year and forced Wisconsin outside of their comfort zone in passing. But these next 2 weeks are going to pose the biggest challenge for Wisconsin so far, who has won by decent margins, but in an ugly fashion. Alex Hornibrook throws nearly as many interceptions as he does touchdowns. So if Iowa forces them to break out of their comfort zone, just like Northwestern, they might be semi-prepared, but their offensive productivity will definitely take a hurting.
Yeah, and it'll be a close game, but these two teams, their matchups are always pretty close, and Iowa seems to not necessarily struggle in close games, but they seem to have a lot more than they should. All 3 of their losses have come by a combined 16 points this year, and their average margin of victory has been 18 points. So it seems like they get out on some teams early, and they are able to possess the ball for a majority of the game, and just take over from there and let their defense do what it does and their offense just run. But if it's a close dogfight, they've just happened to come out on the losing end a few more times than they definitely would have liked. Another issue for this team is time of possession. A lot of you might be saying, why would that ever be an issue for a team having the ball on offense? Well, in this case, it's a problem as far as experience goes. When you go up against a team like Wisconsin, they're going to have the ball a majority of the game. It's just how it is. The possession battle in this game is going to be really key, but there's a good chance that Wisconsin's going to control the ball for a majority of the game, and that's something that this Iowa defense hasn't seen ever. And the last key for this game is turnovers for Iowa. In big games, you really have to be wary of turning the ball over. Every possession matters, especially when you go up against a team that eats as much clock as Wisconsin does. They currently rank 70th in turnovers for the entire country, and that's something that you're going to have to keep an eye on if they start turning the ball over and Wisconsin gets those extra possessions.
Well, Jonathan Taylor no doubt leads this Wisconsin team to victory. The kid is agile. I mean, check this out. The closest defender right now is a solid 10 yards behind him, and that's kind of just become the norm for him. He looks like a mini Melvin Gordon in the making and is on track to gain 2,000 yards this season. The crazy thing is he's only a freshman and has 3 more years with a program that is known to produce great ball carriers.
And he's going to be matched up against Josie Jewell, who's a linebacker for Iowa. He's 4th in the nation. He gets over 11 tackles a game, and he really embodies the whole spirit of Iowa. The state as a whole, most fans absolutely love him no matter who you root for. He started in 30 straight games. He was a game-time decision last week against Ohio State. He ended up starting. He's also 2nd on his team in sacks and has been having an amazing senior year. He's a semifinalist for the Bednarik Award at the end of the season for the nation's best defender, and he's going to have his hands full with this Wisconsin rushing attack.
The Wisconsin Badgers just haven't been challenged this season. Iowa certainly has, and I think that's going to be the game changer here. I always love a good underdog. Iowa's really gained my attention and respect, and I'm going to have to go with them this game.
Yeah, and with the head coach that has 18 years of experience at your program, that's 18 years of experience in this rivalry, that helps a lot, especially in these big moments under the lights. I'm also going to have to go with Iowa.
These next few weeks, as we near the college football playoffs, are just going to keep getting interesting as they have starting 2 weeks ago. You have teams and crazy matchups that are just going to produce upsets, various results people don't see coming. And you also have teams that are top programs but have been struggling this year, Florida, Florida State, who are fighting for a chance to even get a bid to a bowl game.
Yeah, and you're going to see those teams like Iowa who really have nothing to lose come out and play their hearts out, and that causes a lot more upsets later in the season.
But if you like this week's episode, feel free to check out some of our others. We'll join you next week. I'm Janae Muchmore.
And I'm Griffin Parkrose.
Thanks for watching RedZone to EndZone.